started with the Schools Mutual back in November 22. I think that was my initial point of contact with Sarah Niblo, the Senior Recruitment Manager at Schools Mutual. I landed my first post at St Bede's Catholic School in Lanchester in January 2023. So all in all, we're looking at about 2.5 years at the present moment that I've worked with the Schools Mutual. To give you some context, I'm actually a trained designer. So I qualified as an interactive media designer at university. But having gone out into the field, we were trained to think outside of the box, be very conceptual. As it happens, agencies, they have budgets, you know, sometimes the conceptual doesn't always fit with the brief. And I slowly got very tired of doing that. So I decided that I'm a person that likes to impart knowledge on others. And I have a disabled cousin. I did a lot of work with my cousin at home, you know, sort of being an advocate for him and caring for him. And I decided that I wanted to go into education. And where better to start than looking at supply work in the area of learning support and special educational needs. From there, actually, I went with an agency who looked at my experience and said, you know, you've got life experience, you know, the qualifications would suit. How would you feel working at a school in Durham? I jumped at the chance. I didn't actually know the school that I was going to. I did a little bit of research, found out that it was an outstanding school, had a recce, what I call a recce, so I went on a little visit to try and find out where it actually was and what I was dealing with. And from there, I worked at that school on supply for a year. After a year, obviously they recognised my qualities, my skills, my talents, and I was permanently employed to work with a young child who had a chronic medical condition. The condition was pulmonary hypertension. Obviously the child had physical barriers that he faced on a daily basis that would make him trying to be independent in school very, very difficult, and he needed somebody there to make sure that his healthcare, his well-being and his academic needs would be met. So they employed me to do that. Ironically, I stayed at the same school for 13 years. I haven't spent many happy 13 years there. But it actually got to the point where, because it was outstanding, staff didn't necessarily move and the opportunities that I wanted weren't there. So I thought, well, let's make a jump. Let's try and work in the financial sector, because I do like working with people. And the job that I landed was as a collections advisor, working with a large retail bank. An interesting job. I quickly realised after spending time on complaints that working face to face was something that I missed. And I reevaluated my life choices at that point and thought, no, I actually need to go back into education where I'm comfortable. And that's when I contacted Sarah back in the November. We had an online Teams meeting which went very, very, very well, very relaxing, very reassuring. And it was in the new year, January of the new year 2023, that Sarah secured me a placement at St Bede's in Lanchester. So the reason that I chose to be on supply initially was the flexibility. If I'm being completely honest, obviously I had some personal things going on at home and I needed that flexibility to be able to help and care for one of my family relations, and that was really important. So the Schools Mutual gave me that opportunity basically to have a circuit breaker, so I could start fresh in the new year of January 2023, which is when I started, and that's really, really helped me to be recognised, because I'm a physical face in that school on a daily basis as a member of supply, but I'm not treated like a member of supply at all. You know, yes, I've been permanently employed now, however, I was always treated like one of the team, and that is one of the best feelings you could ever have. I would say the pay rates that are provided by the Schools Mutual are very competitive if you consider them in line with permanent members of staff. I would never say that I wasn't paid the same, and I think that helps with transparency. There is a myth in the educational realm that supply staff are often paid more. What people tend to negate or forget is that Obviously, yes, you aren't paid during the holidays per se, but you are paid an enhanced daily rate to compensate for that fact. So yes, you have to jiggle your money around a little bit, and yes, you have to be disciplined, but I wouldn't say that it isn't as competitive as a permanent member of staff. Any issues, I can contact Sarah. You know, if I'm ill or anything's cropped up, I can contact Sarah and just let her know. And generally, I've had no issues at all. So the support I've received from the Schools Mutual has been outstanding, and obviously I want to make reference to somebody in particular here, and that is Sarah Niblo. So Sarah Niblo works with Trust Secondary Schools and on the secondary sector of the business. She is a phenomenal person, inside and out, very genuine. I could tell that from my initial interview. Any issues, all I need to do, pick up the phone, contact Sarah. She's always in contact. She'll put things right. She'll put it to the school, and that's very reassuring, knowing that you've got somebody there to advocate for you at times when you're busy or you're working with children, you're in the classroom, you can't be on the phone. You always know that you can give Sarah a ring, email her at any point, and she will take on board what it is that you have to say, anything that might crop up, and she will help deal with that. And that, to me, is one of the most reassuring things about working for the SMS.